At what point is a camera phone no longer a phone? Well, Xiaomi and Leica seem hell-bent on answering that question, and Xiaomi brought me out to Beijing, China to find out for myself. Hey, it's Joshua Vergara. What's going on, everybody? This is the Xiaomi 13 Ultra, Day 1. Okay, let me level with y'all. This is a Day 1 video, so obviously we're looking at first impressions, the unboxing that you're watching right now, and just some early thoughts on the phone after literally 24 hours with it. But as you're going to see throughout this video, those first 24 hours were quite hectic, very eventful, and honestly really tiring, especially considering I have to make this video late into the night right after the launch event itself. And while a real-world camera test is going to be coming eventually for the Xiaomi 13 Ultra, the videos and photos you're seeing in this one are all taken pretty much on the fly. So I didn't do the whole thing of like turning down the exposure or putting in some of that extra elbow grease to make sure everything is perfect in every single frame. Still, I feel like the phone, just like with the Xiaomi 13 Pro, kind of speaks for itself as far as the quality is concerned. So let me know what you think about everything you're seeing in this video in the comment sections down below for sure. The first hours were spent getting this Chinese edition of the Xiaomi 13 Ultra into working order, which meant getting Google Play services on there, Google Play Store and all of that, and also trying to uninstall as much of the Chinese bloatware as possible. The good news is that a global edition of this phone is planned, and that is definitely the version that I'm going to need for some of the essentials like Android Auto, since it's not going to work with this Chinese ROM. I have the olive green edition of the phone, and besides the camera hump, one of the first things that you really notice on this device is the material choice. The vegan leather backing on here is supposed to be reminiscent of the material that you might feel on various vintage Leica cameras, or even current ones. That gives it a really good grip, very nice texture and feel, and as you can see on the camera bump, there is actually a slope that makes it so that that entire section actually pops out even more. Like I said earlier, Xiaomi did bring me out for the launch event here in Beijing for the 13 Ultra, but it is also sandwiched between a lot of food and quite a bit of tourism as well.
Familiar faces on the trip. Yes, we are in China, and we have ourselves the China edition. But yeah, camera test coming up. Not a real world, not a full camera test, but I do want to show off some photos and videos using these cameras.
So why not get right into it? The cameras that are co-engineered with Leica so that the glass and the lenses above each sensor are as good as possible for optical quality, well, these are going to be the main story when it comes to the Xiaomi 13 Ultra. The main sensor is the IMX989, the 1-inch style sensor that you may have seen in a couple of other flagships, including the Xiaomi 13 Pro. But Xiaomi and Leica tried to take it even further by further improving the 8-piece spherical lens construction, alongside a variable aperture that allows you to stop it down to f4. That way you can get a little bit less of that shallow depth of field and maybe put more things in the frame into focus. There are now 4 total shooters on the rear, including the ultra-wide, which also has a very wide open aperture, the telephoto, which is used for those 3.2 times portraits, but now also a super telephoto that gets you 5 times optical zoom, but you can go all the way up to 10 times in that hybrid zoom for still really great looking photos. However, the zoom does go far beyond that as well. And the sensors behind all 3 of those other lenses is the new IMX858. All looking to bring really high quality across all of the focal lengths that you could possibly want out of a, let's say, photographer's phone.
All right, I gotta levy my usual criticism when it comes to a lot of these phones. Here's the front-facing camera, and you can already tell exposure's not the best. And also 1080p, blocked out at 1080p. All the Leica stuff that Xiaomi's been able to do with these phones, all on the rear cameras. Not that big of a deal if you just use the rear cameras for almost everything or pretty much everything. But if you're a big content creator and you're trying to use the front-facing cameras to make life a little easier, you may be missing that 4K.
As far as photos are concerned, you're still able to get portraits with it, and you're still able to get some pretty decent selfies of you and anybody else that might be with you.
So any of my SoCal homies out there, you will recognize this place. This is Din Tai Fung. If you've ever had souped dumplings before, you definitely want to try them out, and Din Tai Fung's one of the best places to do it. All right, we're getting weird right now. Check this out. Interesting color, and definitely, oh, yes, yeah. Interesting color, but interesting flavor underneath.
This is better than
I do not agree with that. This is beef and cheese inside. It's basically a cheeseburger dumpling. I've been to Din Tai Fung a lot of times. This has never come onto my plate. Why? Why? It's tasty, don't get me wrong. Why?
There are plenty of other modes that are available here, including a supermoon mode, which I may or may not use too often, but there's also what is called here the fast shot, but it's actually supposed to be their street photography mode. I didn't use this mode a whole lot, but I'm excited to try it out. It just wasn't in the cards for how hectic this particular day was. It basically introduces zone focusing to a mobile camera. Much like with old film cameras, you choose the distance that you believe you're going to be away from the various subjects you're shooting, choose a particular focal length, and then just keep shooting away. With the fast-paced and fleeting nature of street photography, knowing your distance and just being able to get the shot immediately without any fuss is really important, and that's exactly what this mode is trying to introduce to mobile photography.
Alright, so it turns out we have a little bit of time before the tour actually goes off, so we are actually going to talk a little bit about the general specifications of the Xiaomi 13 Ultra. As you would expect, there's everything in here that you would want from a flagship device. Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, 5000 mAh battery. Also, for transfer speeds, USB 3.2 now, which is really great, especially if you're going to be using this for like all the photos and videos that I know I'm going to be shooting, especially on a day like today.
It should really come as no surprise that the performance on the Xiaomi 13 Ultra is exactly where we would want it to be for a flagship device. Aside from any software quibbles that I have to deal with on this Chinese ROM, overall the experience has been very smooth, very reliable, especially considering the high-powered specifications.
One thing I do need to say though is that the camera hump here on the back really does make this tilt on a table. So if you're watching a lot of YouTube videos like I tend to, well, you're gonna see that slope happen quite a bit. Maybe roll a ball off of it and give it a head start because there is a substantial incline coming from the bottom to the top of the phone when this thing is lying on the table.
One thing I do want to mention though is that during the setup, I actually kept the display resolution at Full HD+, and then the refresh rate I left at default, which means that it is dynamically changing the refresh rate based upon whatever is happening in the phone. That also means that the battery life is going to be a little bit different if you just go max on all of these settings, but in my case, I kept things pretty much default, and with the 5000 mAh battery, I was easily able to get from the beginning of the day all the way to the end, even with a ton of camera usage.
Alright, not much of a tea break for this video, but I do have some tea, and it is literally from Xiaomi. Gotta love it. Never thought I would actually have green tea on the Xiaomi campus. This is one of those really interesting, I guess, very specific experiences that I'm going to have here. But for today's tea break, I'm going to go ahead and ask, what's going on, everybody? I'm very grateful to be able to come out for this trip, not only to check out the new device, but also to hang out with the Xiaomi friends, even have tea with them on their own campus. So I guess I'm going to keep things simple on this tea break and just ask, hey, what are you guys grateful for today? I'm grateful to be able to be at this particular trip, to have this tea. It's actually pretty good. But yeah, let me know what's going on, everybody, and tell me what you're grateful for in the comments down below. Now, let's get back to the video. All right, so I just learned we're on the campus. This is where the launch is actually going to be held. So we're already here, so that's nice. And we're finally outside right now, so we can actually get some of the shots, videos, photos, and whatnot on here. But I hope you enjoyed a look at the actual tour. A lot of really fun stuff happening.
Right after the tour was over, we were surprised with a bit of an extra gift for those who were able to come on the trip. A basically limited edition grip and case combo that you can put onto the Xiaomi 13 Ultra to give it a camera-like grip and a much more comfortable feel when shooting with the phone. The grip that has both a shutter button that you can actually half press to trigger focus and also a zoom rocker is Bluetooth enabled, and it pairs immediately with the phone when you hold the shutter button down to trigger the pairing mode. And for a photography forward phone like this, this type of ergonomics is paramount. Not to mention there's a lens cap that comes with it, so I will be protecting the camera much more by using that on the regular. And let's just say it came in very handy for the dinner that we had right before the launch event. After all, it was a very eventful meal.
All right, dinner time, and we are in a very interesting place. All of these yurts, they are literally called yurts, is where we are going to be having dinner. And apparently we're going to be getting a whole lamb. I don't know why I'm even like narrating all of this stuff. You're going to see all of those pictures and videos of the food anyway. But yeah, you can see behind me here hopefully it'll be able to do the exposure correctly. But yeah, all being roasted up in there.
来，互相手牵。来，双手举过头顶，跟着音乐来拍拍手，拍拍手。在哪里？99条马达飘飞吉祥，99对安带舞动春潮，99首赞歌传递美好，99点绽放祝福紧张。
We only had like 45 minutes to eat, but that included all the dancing, the music. I feel like I've just lived through a fever dream just now, but that was amazing. That was incredible. But we're on the run, and with all of that, the energy level is definitely very high. That was crazy.
Finally made it over to the launch event where we were told to pretty much hide the phones because it wasn't really announced yet, and there were a lot of Xiaomi fans that were there, so we didn't really want to show out too hard that we already had the 13 Ultra.
更加极致，所以我们做了一个特别的设计，叫专业摄影套装。大家这2天应该已经看到了啊。
When all was said and done, I finally got back to the room and I needed to get at least a few hours of sleep, but right before I knocked out, I checked the battery life and I was able to get just over 5 hours of screen on time, but it certainly was able to get through this entire hectic and very eventful day without any problems at all. No range anxiety whatsoever, and of course I'm able to top it up with the 90-watt charger really easily. And so there you go, a very eventful day one with the Xiaomi 13 Ultra. Now you probably already know that I really enjoyed the Xiaomi 13 Pro and made it my daily driver for quite some time, but I'm looking forward to upgrading to this one, and the cameras seem to be speaking for themselves as far as continued quality from the collaboration between Xiaomi and LEICA. They clearly continue to try and push the envelope to pretty great effect, as you might have seen in this video. Imagine how much better a lot of these shots might have been if I just had that tiny bit more time to dial in the exposure, maybe lock out the focus, and to ensure that the frame is exactly the way that I want it to be. And yeah, in a video like this, I have to ask the question at the beginning, when does a camera phone cease to be a phone? Well, it seems that with the Xiaomi 13 Ultra, the camera is definitely the main focal point, but that doesn't mean that this isn't a capable phone still. I've already used this for quite a few of my general tasks, and a lot of the features on here and the specifications are exactly what you would want from a good daily everyday driver. And that's exactly what you're getting here for a price that is actually kind of competitive. At around $1,099 US, it's actually really competitive at that 16 gigabyte and 1 terabyte storage configuration. But I want to know what all of you think. Tell me your thoughts on the Xiaomi 13 Ultra in the comment sections down below, and content is going to be ongoing on this particular device that I'm probably going to have in my pocket more often than not moving forward, including a real-world camera test that you can look forward to by subscribing to my channel. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and call it on this one. Thank you so much for kicking it with me in this video, even after the hectic day and the late night editing, but take care of yourselves and each other, and enjoy your tea, everybody.